So today, we're going to talk about stay salty. Probably not the salty that you think, not the bad salty, the good kind of salty. And there was a lot of science when I first started. It's like a rabbit hole of salt. It's just crazy if you start studying this. And I'm sure there's people in here that know more than I do, and that is fantastic about salt. But there is a lot of stuff, and I'm going to share a little bit of that today. And that was supposed to say salt heals instead of salt sustains. So there we go. Salt heals. In August, it will be an entire year since I've had some dental issues. It started with a tooth on this side, on the lower part, and I went and had a crown done, and every time I would bite down, it felt like there was a marble in my mouth. It was just too tall. And I went back several times, and they would grind it down so that I could chew properly. And this is, just like, they just put you in the chair and just start grinding that bad boy. They do not numb you or, hold your hand. They're just like, yeah, and they just go for it. And after they would do that, they'd say, okay, wait about a week and a half, and it's still bad, come back. And I did that 3 times, and it was just so painful. And the 4th time I went in, and this time, instead of a dental assistant, the dentist was like, we're going to take care of this. And the dentist was like, yeah, just shaving it off. And she's like, I think I just one more little spot, just one tiny spot, and I think we're good. And I hear a little, yeah. And then she kind of looks at me, and she's like, I just put a hole in that crown. I was like, no, please tell me that you are joking with me right now. And she was not. So I had to go back in and get it redone. And this time, and she did not do a root canal before she put the crown on. There's just crown. And that when she put the new crown on, she kind of hit it with some air and it sent me through the roof. Did I mention I don't like dental work? I don't. I really don't know anyone that does. I don't know anyone that says, I can't wait to go get that root canal next week. I've never met someone that does. So yeah, she fixed it. She put a new one on, and it hurt worse than the other one. I had I call it happy gas, on for about 2 hours that day. And I couldn't walk a straight line when I left the place. It didn't work. It failed. The crown failed again. I went to a different dentist this time because I'm like, I've given you a couple of strikes. It's time to move on. I went to a different dentist, and they're like, we can do a root canal or we can pull it. And at that point, I was like, I don't even know, like October or something. I was like, yank it out. I'm done with this, like, get it out. And they did. And one of the things they told me to do was rinse with salt water, right? Because salt creates an environment for healing to take place. It doesn't necessarily heal, but it creates this environment. And this is something I looked up. It says it reduces bacteria, it keeps the area clean, and it supports the body's healing process. Salt does. And I can't even tell you how much ibuprofen I was taking at the time to try to get that thing to stop hurting. I would take 4 at a time, and the sharp pains would go away, but it was still in the background. My poor, what is it, your liver, your kidneys, or whatever it is? Yeah, I don't even know. They were probably screaming for help. I didn't even feel like myself for a solid probably 2 months. But this is not about my pain and my misfortune. This is about salt and all the properties of salt. So salt heals. Oh, thank you. I'm going to read some in Colossians and just some background on that, because it's important. Anytime you read, you can't just cherry pick a verse and be like, this you kind of need some background information sometimes. So I'm going to give you that background information. Paul was writing to the church in Colossians, and they needed instruction because at that time in history, they were mixing up Christianity and their other former religions. It's a big word called syncretism, and that's kind of still happening today also. People trying to blend Christianity with whatever they feel like love and happiness mixed in with, which God is love, but they try to mix in other things from their past, right, to make it acceptable. And I say acceptable, we were listening to a song by DC Talk, my boys and I. If you don't know who DC Talk is, I say old school, it's like 90s. Christian rock, rap, whatever. They had a song called Socially Acceptable. And one of the lines, I just happened to hear, human rights have made the wrongs okay. And I think that's kind of another definition of syncretism. Just because something is legal or something is your right doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's righteous. Doesn't make it truth. Because truth isn't based on a vote. Isn't based on what wins. Isn't based on popular opinion. So, a lot of background information there, but this is Colossians chapter 4, verses 2 through 6. Devote yourselves to prayer. He's given them instructions. Devote yourself to prayer, being watchful and thankful. And pray for us, too, that God may open a door for our message, so that we may proclaim the mystery of Christ, for which I am in chains. Pray that I may proclaim it clearly as I should. Be wise in the way you act toward outsiders. Make most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. Emphasis of how was mine. How do we season our words? Yes, we know truth, but how are we revealing that to other people? Are we being forceful with it? Because force does not usually work. Are we seasoning our conversations with salt so that we are answering everyone accordingly? Because sometimes I think, the world, it uses words to hurt, to wound people. The world is really good about just using the words to cut deep. But we're supposed to use our words to heal. We're supposed to use our words seasoned with salt, healing salt, to heal other people. We can't always see the wounds that they have inside, right? You couldn't look at me when I had this. Also, it got dry socket and infected. But looking at me, you couldn't see this wound, but internally I had this wound. And we have to use our words to help heal people. Some people need comfort. Some people need patience. Some people need encouragement. Some people just need the truth laid out in love. So there's different ways to season with salt our conversations. Proverbs 16:23 through 24 says, the hearts of the wise make their mouths prudent, and their lips promote instruction, teaching. Gracious words are a honeycomb sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. While a honeycomb is not necessarily salty, our words have to be sweet. They have to come out correctly. Husbands, have you ever heard your wife say, it's not what you said, it's how you said it? Yeah. How you say it. How is it seasoned? Proverbs 25:11. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. We have to speak the word correctly, rightly. Salt preserves. Another one, salt preserves. We've all heard this is one of the heaviest things taught about salt is that it preserves. I'm going to wax some science on you again. Again, I had to look this up. Why? Why does it preserve? It says bacteria and mold need moisture to live. So when salt is placed on meat, the water moves from a higher concentration inside to the outside, to a lower concentration. No water, the microorganisms in the mold can't live. They die. They stop multiplying. So in this sense, that is how salt is preserving. So let's read what Jesus says in Matthew 5:13. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? So he says we're the salt of the earth, right? We're here to heal. We're here to preserve. Sin will grow in certain environments if it's not tempered, if it's not cut off, if the moisture and the growth is not eradicated, it will grow in that situation. Another thing, I think I might talk about this later, but the salt losing its saltiness, the way they gathered salt back in ancient times, they had small, shallow pools of seawater. And the sun would hit it, and the water would evaporate, and you would have salt left over. But you would also have sand and dirt in that salt. And it wasn't like they had a good way to get it separated, so the white sand would look a whole lot like salt. And eventually, you would get more sand than salt, and it would lose its saltiness, and that's why it was thrown out. There's a verse later that talks about it being thrown out. Also, there it is. It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. It's the same verse. And that is why they threw it out, because it was more sand than salt. So this Greek word here, moriano, it means saltiness, the ineffectiveness of the saltiness. To become foolish, dull, tasteless, ineffective. That's what it means to lose saltiness. To become foolish, to become dull, to become tasteless, to become ineffective. I don't think I want to become any of those things. I don't want to lack salt in that. This next set of verses, this is talking about Abijah. So he was a king. After Solomon died, all of Israel split into two groups. We got two kingdoms. We had the northern kingdom. That was Jeroboam, that he was the king, and there were 10 tribes up in the northern kingdom. But they had false gods, false teachings. You had the southern kingdom, and this is where Abijah was king. The two tribes left were Judah and Benjamin, but they were still following God, the tribe of Judah. They were still following all his precepts, still doing things according to the Lord. That's just a little bit of background for this. This is 2 Chronicles 13, 1 through 12. In the 18th year of the reign of Jeroboam, Abijah became king of Judah, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 years. His mother's name was Maacah, a daughter of Uriel of Gibeah. There was a war between Abijah and Jeroboam, so Israel is having a war, right? Abijah went into battle with an army of 400,000 able fighting men. Jeroboam drew up a battle line against him with 800,000 able troops. A little bit outnumbered, wouldn't you think? About, double. They're outnumbered. Abijah stood on Mount Zeramim in the hill country of Ephraim and said, Jeroboam and all Israel, listen to me. So Abijah is about to be like, guys, listen up. Here we go. All y'all that are about to start fighting, here we go. Don't you know that the Lord, the God of Israel, has given the kingship of Israel to David and his descendants forever by a covenant of salt? I've never seen that before. I know that I've read the Bible through before. It's never occurred to me that covenant of salt was ever in there. Covenant of salt. I want to read to you what it says in my commentary. Salt was a preservative and symbolized durability. So a covenant of salt was one that wouldn't be broken. Sometimes covenant makers each took a pinch of salt and mixed it to show just as the salt couldn't be separated, neither could the promise. Covenant of salt. Abijah is reminding Israel that the battle belonged to David. Not because of numbers, not because of military strength, but because of this covenant of salt, this promise. Yet Jeroboam, son of Nebat, an official of Solomon, son of David, rebelled against his master. So even though Abijah said all of this, Jeroboam was still rebelling. Some worthless scoundrels gathered around him and opposed Rehoboam, son of Solomon, when he was young and indecisive and not strong enough to resist them. And now you plan to resist the kingdom of the Lord, which is in the hands of David's descendants. You are indeed a vast army and have with you the golden calves that Jeroboam made to be your gods. But didn't you drive out the priests of the Lord, the sons of Aaron, the Levites, and make priests of your own, as the peoples of other lands do? So they're doing evil in the sight of the Lord. Whoever comes to consecrate himself with a young bull and 7 rams may become priests of what are not gods. As for us, the Lord is our God, and we have not forsaken him. The priests who serve the Lord are sons of Aaron, and the Levites assist them. Every morning and evening they present burnt offerings and fragrant incense to the Lord. They set out the bread of the ceremony and clean table, light the lamps on the gold lampstand every evening. We are observing the requirements of the Lord our God. So he is telling them, you are doing false things. We are doing what God has told us to do. And they won over 800,000 versus 400,000. Abijah and his kingdom, they won the battle. You've forsaken him. God is with us. He is our leader. His priests with their trumpets will sound the battle cry against you. God's word never fails, never expires. It never spoils. Just because people change, it doesn't mean he does. He's not a God that changes. Just because morals and values change, it doesn't affect his word and the power of his word. None of that affects him. We have to remain salty. We have to preserve the people that we come in contact with and his word. People of Israel, do not fight against the Lord, the God of your ancestors, for you will not succeed. And they did not succeed. Salt purifies. So it heals, preserves, purifies. Leviticus 2:13. I've also never seen this before. I know I've read it, but apparently it did not stick. Season all your grain offerings with salt. Do not leave the salt of the covenant of your God out of your grain offerings. Add salt to all your offerings. They really want you to salt these offerings. You really need to salt them. I've never seen that before. But it's another thing, it purifies. Salt's associated with purity because it was free of corruption. And it showed dedication to God. 1 John 2:15-17. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. I'm going to cover this in just a minute. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. The world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever. So these 3 things, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and pride of life. This is shown a pattern here. This is from Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, talking about the tree of life. It was good for food. The lust of the eyes, it was pleasing to the eyes. And the pride of life was a desire to make one wise. And the verse says, when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, it was delightful to look at, and a tree to be desired, in order to make one wise and insightful, she took some of its fruit and ate it. These 3 things are also present with when Jesus was tempted. The lust of the flesh, turn these stones into bread. Lust of the eyes, all these kingdoms I will give you. Pride of life, throw yourself down, angels will catch you. It's the same things that Eve was tempted with, same things that Jesus were tempted with, these 3 things. So we're supposed to be pure in our thoughts, pure in our actions. Salt purifies. Salt sustains. Have you ever worked outside for a really long time? And when you're done, like if you're wearing a hat, when you're done, you see that salt line? Has that ever happened to you before? Maybe, maybe not. Or after you get through working, you come inside and maybe your muscles are cramping. There are things that happens. Our bodies need salt. We sweat it out. Also, we cry it out. I've cried to the point sometimes where my tears, you can just like, I know it's weird to like taste your tears. Like you're a kid, you're like, oh, it happens. They get in your mouth, but they are salty, right? Your body needs salt. And when something comes out of your body, sweat, tears, it is salty. So salt sustains us. And when those things happen, we have to refill that salt that we've lost. So 1 Thessalonians 5:9-11. God did not appoint us to suffer wrath, but to receive salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ. He died for us so that whether we are awake or asleep, we may live together with him. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you're doing. If salt sustains us, we need to help sustain others as well. We need to encourage each other. We need to build each other up, right? Like I said, when you work outside, you're losing salt, electrolytes, potassium. It's more science here. It says without replacing those, the body starts shutting down. You become dizzy. You become confused. And your muscles just start cramping. Just involuntary cramping. But we need this salt to encourage each other. We need salt because it sustains us, right? Now, I want to read something about saline solution. Saline salt, yeah? Doctors use saline to clean wounds, irrigate eyes, rinse mouths after surgery, flush IV lines, replace fluids intravenously, treat dehydration, deliver medications, and clean nasal passages. I mean, if you think about it, they're not using water. They're using water with a mixture of salt in it. If you've ever worn contacts before and your contacts come out and you don't have like a contact solution, you just try water, it hurts so bad. I can't tell you, you're just like, it just feels like little needles just poking your eye. Saline solution. It helps to do all these things. It helps cleanse. It helps heal. It helps to replace things. Another thing was salt. In all my baking, when I'm baking something sweet, I add salt. You add salt to sweets. It sounds crazy, but the saltiness helps bring out the sweetness. With our taste buds, it says it makes taste buds more sensitive to sweet flavors. It enhances sweetness. It suppresses bitterness. In cocoa powder and in dark chocolate, suppresses bitterness. That's what we need to do. There are people surrounding you that are going to talk negative to you. It happens. That is life. There are people surrounded that are going to find the worst in every situation. That happens. We have to be the salt to suppress that. We have to be the salt to help that bitterness go away, right? Another thing, Roman officers were paid in salt sometimes. Isn't that crazy? You work a full day of packing chips, and they're like, here's your salt, Caleb. Here's a couple of pounds of salt for you. But salt is where the word salary comes from. Salary, salarium, salt. Kind of crazy. Work all week and get some salt. In ancient times, newborns were rubbed down with salt. One, because it was a disinfectant, but another one, it was a sign that the parents made a pact to raise the child together, a covenant of salt. It's kind of crazy also to see rub down a kid with salt. There you go. So my challenge to you guys is, are we staying salty? The good kind of salty, not the jealous kind of salty, the harsh word salty. Are we doing these things? Are we preserving the word? Are we helping others? Are we bringing out the good, bringing out the sweet in others? Are we doing that? And that's a challenge for myself, too. More and more, the older I get, the more I realize that the words that I speak, I'm with my boys 24/7. The words that I speak, I can hear the words that I'm used to saying come out of their mouths. And when you hear that, sometimes you're like, oh, that's me. That I say that sometimes. I I can be negative like that. They're mimicking me. So we have to flavor our words with salt. We have to flavor it with the goodness of God so that to bring out the sweetness. So that's all I have about salt. A lot of science, a lot of verses I had never seen before. But yes, salt.